We want to start growing our channel, so that's to have you comment to people in.
Okay, so the next driver that I'm going to talk about.
Start
It's gonna take so long. Okay.
Okay. All right.
You're just gonna have to wait.
Yeah. What's up, everyone? All right, so today we're doing a little bit of a different video. We just kind of wanted to show you guys the equipment that we use when we play golf. Now, I'll be completely honest, I'm a little bit of a brand snob, so I like to have the nicest brands for whatever reason. That's just kind of how I'm wired, and you'll see that as we get into my bag. So let's go. So the driver that I use is, well, first, I guess, shout out to the Michigan Wolverines. If you can't tell, I'm a little bit of a Michigan fan. Those back there, one of my prized possessions, actually from one of my brothers, is a pair of football gloves and a towel from the sidelines at a Michigan Bowl game. That's one of my favorite items that I have in my room. But the driver that I use is the King Cobra F9. And I absolutely love this driver. Before this, I was actually using an SLDR. Actually, the SLDR that Caleb uses now was my driver before him. He just kind of fell in love with it after I got this one, and he started using it. But one of my favorite features on this club is actually the face. And I know that's kind of a weird thing, but it's CNC milled, and I don't think you can see it in the video. But one of my favorite things is you actually get to see where the ball strikes the face with this. And I don't know if it was on purpose the way that they designed this, but when you strike it, you can actually see where you're hitting the face. A lot of people will tell you to do drills, and these are actually really good drills. You can get like foot spray or tape or something and put it on the face of your clubs, and it'll actually show you where you're striking the ball. But for whatever reason, the way this was designed, this driver automatically does that. So I love that instant feedback that I get to see where I'm striking the ball. Some days I'm striking it more towards the heel, and I can adjust for that on the fly. So it's just one of my favorite things about this club. It also has adjustable weights. I haven't really messed with those. You can move the heavier weight forward and get more distance. I kind of like the accuracy that I get from this driver. So that's my driver. Next up is my irons. So I use Titleist 712 AP2 irons, and I absolutely love these irons. They're forged. I actually don't remember the year these came out. I think these are the second model of the AP2s to come out, if I'm correct. And I can't see myself using a different iron until I can afford to get myself fitted for a set, because I just love these things. I actually got a really good deal. I bought these off eBay without ever testing them. I just like the look of them. I think I paid 220 bucks, which if you're in the market at all, you'll know that that's a really good price. And the feel, the forgiveness, the look of them behind the ball, I just haven't come across an iron yet that I love as much as these. Eventually, I think I want to get fit for a set of Mizunos, but that is in the future. Hopefully in the near future. So I honestly don't know a ton when it comes to shafts about like what makes that much of a difference. I know that I use a stiff shaft in most of my clubs just because that's what I've found that I'm comfortable swinging. So in my driver, I just have the stock Aldila shaft that came with it. In my irons, I have the Dynamic Gold S300 shafts, which are a stiff shaft. And then my 3-iron is the only one that it's the same iron as the rest of them. It's the AP2 712, but it has a different shaft. It's got an NS Pro stiff shaft in it. That was just because I bought that separately. It didn't come with my set. I only got 4-through pitching wedge in my set, so. And last, but certainly not least. Wow, that was really cliche, wasn't it? Anyways, the crown jewel of my bag, my baby, my favorite club, out of any of them is my putter. And like I said, I'm kind of a Titleist snob, just not realizing that. But it's no different for my putter. And if you don't already know what it is a Scotty Cameron. So I actually got a really good deal on this putter. I bought it from a shop in my hometown of Chattanooga, Tennessee. And it was a demo model that was still brand new in the bag. It had never been opened before and put on the floor. So he gave me a really good price. I think it's a 2018 model. But it's a Scotty Cameron Select Fastback 2. And I just love the look of this putter. It looks so amazing behind the ball. It's got the CNC milled face. It's got the insert in it. And this thing just feels so good. It looks good. And I just don't think there's anything that compares to a Scotty Cameron when it comes to putters. Obviously, just my opinion. But I don't know if I'll ever use another putter. I don't think there's any reason to. I've kind of realized that with putters, like, there's some cool technology, but it really doesn't change that much. So to me, there's not that much reason to ever change your putter that often. Obviously, the pros probably change them all the time, and that's because they are pros and they can actually feel the difference.
What's up, guys? This is Caleb. As Isaac said, we're going to do a what's in the bag today. You may hear my 2-year-old. He just went to bed and he's still talking to himself, so you may hear him a little bit, but it'll be all right. So first things first, if you are new to golf, you are allowed 14 clubs in your bag. That's the maximum that you're allowed to have. I actually have 15 in my bag right now, and I'll explain that. We'll just start with that club first. So the 15th club that I have is a ladies club. It's a 7-iron Nike VRS. This is for my wife. So she does not play golf, but every once in a while she likes to hit some golf balls when I'm not playing and she comes with me. So I keep this in my bag just for her. Of course, if I play tournaments or things like that, then I've got to take it out. But that's the first club. The next club that I'm going to talk about is my driver. So I actually use an older driver. This is a 10.5 degree tailor-made SLDR with a 60 gram stiff flex Kurokage shaft in it. I have it set to 9.5 degrees. I absolutely love this driver. I've hit a bunch of the newer drivers. For whatever reason, this one just works the best for me. It is the most accurate. It's definitely not the longest. There are drivers that I could probably get some more distance out of, but just for the driving accuracy, I just really, really like this thing. It feels forgiving to me, and in the next couple of weeks here, me and Isaac are going to be testing some of the 2021 drivers, and we're going to be stacking it up against our current drivers. So I'll be curious to see, kind of what happens there if I end up putting something else in the bag or if the SLDR just stays in the bag. So the next club in my bag is my 3-wood, but I'm actually going to talk about that later. I'll explain that in a little bit. So the next club that we'll actually talk about is my 3-iron. So as far as my irons go, I actually have a hybrid set. So in my 3-iron, which is actually bent to a 2-iron loft, I have a Mizuno MP-H5. This thing is super chunky, and I basically use it as a driving iron. I also use it a lot of time for like recovery shots. I almost use it like a hybrid. So if I've got, lie under a tree where I just need to knock it low back onto the fairway, that's what I'll use. So that's my 3-iron. And then my 4-iron and my 5-iron are both the same club. They are the JPX 850 forged. And in my shorter irons, I have the MP-H5. So we actually had to bend these to be a little bit weaker of a loft to match the the MP5. We had to do that because the MP5s are more of a traditional loft, and if you don't know what that means, every single club has a loft. One of the ways with new irons that they get more distance is by having a low or by strengthening the loft. So where, a 7-iron used to be, I believe mine is like 34, 35 degrees. It's very common these days for a 7-iron to be 29 to 30 degrees. I really like having these, the 850 forged in my longer irons, in my 4 and my 5, because you get a little bit more height, you get a little bit more forgiveness. And then I get kind of the more, the pure iron in my shorter ones. So in talking about that, these are the MP5. So I have these from 6 all the way down to pitching wedge. And these things I think are just absolutely gorgeous. I love these irons. I love the feel. For me, when it comes to a more game improvement iron, the one thing that I cannot stand is when I hit a perfect shot and it goes too far. So if I hit an absolutely perfect shot and it goes over the back of the green because I get what's called a flyer, basically a lot of the cavity back irons, they have basically a hot spot on the face, or they can have a hot spot on the face, where if you get it just in that right area, the spin will come down a little bit, it will carry further, and you get what's called the lyre. You don't get that as much with a bladed style iron, so you get a much more true distance. However, you give up some forgiveness. So when I hit this, it drops off more than it would with a more game improvement iron. For me, I would rather know that I made a mistake and that's where my loss in distance comes from, rather than having that perfect shot go too far. So for me, I just prefer to have these more bladed clubs, even though they're not as forgiving. So I've got those in my 7-2 pitching wedge. And then I have mixed matched wedges, and this is part of my bag that I'm going to be working on this year, is getting some new wedges and getting consistent wedges all the way through. So my gap wedge is a 52-degree Mizuno S5. I got fitted for this when I got fitted for my irons, so it has the same Nippon NS Pro 1150 GH Tour shaft. It's a little bit heavier of a shaft, and I like that because I tend to get a little bit quick in my transition, going from my backswing to my downswing. So having the heavier shaft kind of helps with that and helps keep my transition very intentional. So I've got that for my gap wedge. And then going into my 56 degree, or my sand wedge, I have an old McGregor VIP. This is another one of those clubs that I just can't get rid of. I've had it pretty much since I started playing golf, and I just absolutely love it. I love the bounce, I love the grind, and if you don't know what bounce and grind are, we'll go into that in another video. We're planning on putting out a chipping tutorial, basically just how I do it, how I use my different clubs for the different environments that I'm playing in, whether it's, hard, soft, whatever. So that will be coming soon, so stay tuned for that. But this McGregor is, again, one of those clubs I just absolutely love. It's forged. I love the feel. I use it mainly for all of my little touch shots around the green. So if I am green side, probably green side all the way to about 50 yards, this is the club I'm going to use almost every single time. Unless I absolutely have to get it over something and I need my 60, this is the one that I'm going to go with. And then as far as my 60 goes, I actually have a Callaway Mac Daddy 2, so it's one of the older Mac Daddies. This is also a forged club. This one has a really low bounce. So what that means is when I put it down on the ground, the leading edge sits very close to the ground. So that's really good if you're playing on tight lies and stuff like that, so you can kind of get under the ball. However, if you have a soft lie and you don't have a lot of bounce, it can kind of tend to dig in. So you just have to kind of know those things, and you have to look at where you're playing so that you can look into those different scenarios and basically just know your equipment, know how it's going to react. And like I said, we're going to go into that in the chipping tutorial, kind of the difference between those two. But I always like to have a difference between my 56 and my 60 so that I can utilize the bounce depending on what kind of course I'm playing. We're not tour pros. We don't get to change our clubs every single time we go play a different course. That's what the majority of those guys do. So they'll change their bounce and their grind and all of that depending on the course. But I just like having those two set up so that, it's a little bit more versatile. Then we got my putter. So this is a Ping. This is the Ping Tatum, which I believe is part of the Scottsdale TR line. This I also got custom fitted for at a golf shop here in Chattanooga, Tennessee. This was actually a birthday present from my wife, and that was very, very fun to go get fit for it, have her, get that for me. So it's one of those things, I may not use this putter forever, but I will definitely have this putter forever. It's really kind of my first higher end putter, and I've got the Tour Sensor 140cc grip on it that I just absolutely love. So yeah, that's my putter. And going back to the next club, or I guess the last club, is my 3-wood. And the reason why I decided to talk about this last was because Isaac actually has this same 3-wood. And I believe that it was kind of the club that really got Isaac into golf and into taking golf seriously. It's a very forgiving 3-wood, and for whatever reason, as soon as I got it, it just fit me. I just hit it well, and it was the same thing for Isaac. When he got his, he absolutely loved it. I've got mine in the blue Tensai shaft, 70 grams, stiff flex. He's got his in a different shaft, but I don't remember exactly what it is. But it's 15 degrees, and so yeah, I'll let Isaac talk about his.
All right, guys. So, like Caleb said, him and I have the exact same 3-wood. Mine's a little bit different. It's got the Atmos Fujikara 65 gram stiff shaft in it. But Caleb bought this club, and I used it a couple times on the course and just absolutely fell in love with it. It's super versatile off the tee, and it's really easy to hit off the fairway. So I would recommend this club to anybody, and it's just an awesome club. All right, so those are my clubs, and the last thing that Caleb and I wanted to talk about is the golf balls that we both use. So he talked about his a little bit. Now I'm just going to talk about mine. I actually use the Srixon Z-Star, and literally the only reason I use this ball is because you can go to Walmart. I don't know if this is across the US, but you can go to Walmart and buy a dozen of these for $25. They're a few years older model, I think, but it's still a urethane covered ball, which if you don't know what urethane is, you can look it up, but there's pretty much non-urethane covered balls and urethane covered balls. And for the most part, urethane covered balls are more sticky, I guess, technically, and they offer more spin around the green. That's pretty much what they're known for. Better ball flight, all that kind of stuff. So for someone like me, at this point, I can't tell that much of a difference except when I get around the greens. When you're chipping and all that kind of stuff and you're trying to put spin on a ball, you can really tell the difference between a urethane and a non-urethane covered ball. But the problem is, most of the high-end manufacturers of golf balls that make urethane covered balls, like Titleist Pro V1s and TaylorMade TP5s, they're $50 a box. And where I'm at in life, I just can't make myself buy a $50 box of golf balls when I know that I'm going to lose usually at least one round. I think I've only ever played one 18-hole round that I didn't lose a single ball, which I was pretty proud of. But yeah, so you can go to Walmart and buy a dozen of these for $25, a urethane covered high-grade golf ball, and so that's what I do.
Ball that I play is actually the TaylorMade TP5, the normal one, not the TP5X. The reason why I play this golf ball is because, to me, it was the most consistent for my game. So I've played a whole bunch of other golf balls since I've been playing. I've played the Srixon Z-Star, I've played the Pro V1, I've played the Callaway Chrome Soft. I believe there's a couple more that I'm forgetting. And for me, this one just offers the most consistent spin, the most consistent ball flight. It's not the longest. There are a couple golf balls that I have found that go a little bit further for me, but for me, the consistency is the main thing that I care about. And a very strange thing happened when I was actually getting ready for this. I looked in my golf bag to get my golf balls out, and I found a whole box of Titleist Pro V1s. And I don't play Pro V1s, so I think what we're going to do is give these away to you guys. What do you think, Isaac?
Dude, I love that idea. All right, so as cheesy as that was, we really do just want to say thank you by giving away this brand new box of golf balls. We've already seen so much love and support for our channel from our family and friends, and also just from people outside of our family. Wow, a little voice crack there. Sweet home. Anyways, we just want to say thank you for all of that, and we also just want to grow our channel, and we think that this is a really good way to do that. So we're going to give away this brand new box of Pro V1s. Obviously, there's a few rules to enter this giveaway. So the rules are, we are going to have you subscribe to our YouTube channel. We're going to have you go to our Instagram page, will be linked below, and tag 2 people in the comments of this picture, and just keep supporting our channel. That's really all we ask, guys. We have a vision for what we can make this channel, and we just really want to have as many people as we can hop on board with us and take this journey. So thank you so much for watching, and be ready for more videos to come out very soon. Thanks. Catch you later.